So we just covered why having a clear aim is super important. Now we want to understand the actual process of getting towards defining that aim. The first part is we really need to understand what the client's needs are. There are lots of different ways to go about this. I find that conducting interviews can be really helpful. You can schedule interviews or just some meetings with some key project stakeholders to understand their expectations, their challenges, and what their desired outcomes are from a tabletop exercise. Some of the questions that I like to ask as part of this process include, what are the key challenges or issues that you want to address with this exercise? Can you describe to me what your ideal outcome is? Or if this goes really well, what does it look like to you? Are there any specific skills or knowledge areas that you want participants to develop as part of this? Or just simply, what do you think the goal of this exercise is going to be? What are participants going to walk away with that would make this a success? These are just some of the questions that I find helpful. You can obviously create your own, and I encourage you to do so. Usually this process happens over 3 meetings. The first is to ask these really broad stroke questions to get your head around the whole bird's eye view of the problem. After that first meeting, I usually try to request any further information that I might need or any more resources that I would need to start generating the aim. The second meeting is usually about clarification. I would present back to the sponsor my interpretation of the objectives and clarify, did our team understand what was wanted? This is where we agree on the objective, just so there's no misunderstanding about what we're tasked to do. It's a good idea at this stage, if you're doing a professional job or getting paid for this, to really clarify the terms at this point of what you've agreed to do, especially if you haven't worked together before. This means you don't go ahead and create something or put a whole heap of effort in that might not be up to the sponsor's expectations, or if the sponsor is not up to your expectations, if they want to do this for a lot less than you might want to do it for. So at this point, you could offer a set of issues or an idea of what you're thinking and have the sponsor say, yeah, that sounds good, or no, this is not really what we're after. So at this point, you should be coming up with 2 to 3 or 4 essential questions that need to be answered by the exercise. Some of those questions might be answered by preliminary research. Others need to be answered inside of the game environment itself. So this is when you're making your scoping of the game, deciding how much effort each question is going to take to answer. When it comes to actually writing down the specific aims, I usually use SMART objectives, which is very common when talking about aims or goals. Just a reminder, SMART is that acronym that stands for goals or aims being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. There's plenty of places you can look up all about SMART objectives, but I think it makes a really good framework for defining the objectives by that criteria for the project or for the game itself. You could help the stakeholder get to the aim of the exercise by discussing the overall strategic objective of their organization with a SMART goal, or the specific problem that we want to game out. How does the scenario help achieve that identified objective? And are there any gaps in the scenario? You can go back to this objective during the design to ask yourself, are there any gaps in the scenario that could prevent us from meeting our SMART aim? We next have a bit of an exercise to help practice defining aims because we think it's so important as a skill to get right. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about the core development process of designing games. Thanks for watching. These lessons will be dropping weekly on YouTube, but if you want to get them all right now, you can take the foundation course for free on our website, where you will also get the lesson notes, summaries, assignments, checklists that guide you through all the learning objectives we've covered. At the end of that course, you'll also get a certificate of completion and an invite to our directory and community where you can meet some other game masters and use the Long Game Project as a platform to showcase your work. If you want to take your game mastery further, completion of this course is a prerequisite to unlock the advanced professional course, along with the Game Master track, where we dive deeper into the content and further along the skill tree. You can also check out some of our other free tools in the description below, including our tabletop exercise starter kit, our scenario generator, the trove of existing scenarios, our SOP checklist library, and our new RPG character sheet, CV, and LinkedIn template, which is really cool. I did mine this morning, and now all my network knows that my dump stat is probably Dex, and I'm definitely neutral good. Roll on.